Welcome back to There Won't Be Some Boys, but There Will Be Some, where we talk about how much Nick doesn't know about comic books and how he has jumped onto the bandwagon of the show The Boys once it got popular on Amazon. We'll get back to it later.
I knew this was going to happen.
Torn out of passion with a passion to survive. Can't stop believing. It's staying alive. Susie told her mama, and her mama told her dad. They looked in the book, and the book said, bad. We all know the boys and the girls are doing it. Welcome back
Kate
to...
Bush, probably.
No, the only reason I know that song is it's by the band Vital Signs, and I know it because it is in Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure.
You said it with the same cadence that you did the Man from Mars with Blondie.
I did kind of, yeah. It has the same kind of like excellent rhyme structure and technique, so maybe that's why. That's my default for that kind of rapping.
Also, I can't believe none of us mentioned the Man from Mars in Invaders from Mars. But anyway.
Oh my God, you're right.
Yeah.
I was like thinking back, and I was like, shit, that would have been perfect.
That episode's not out yet. Don't spoil the jokes we don't make.
Yeah.
Okay. It's this show again. And we're talking about The Boys, season 3, episode 6, Herogasm, where a lot of stuff happened.
Yeah. When we jumped in the call, I was like right off the heels of it ending, and I was like, whew.
Yeah, spicy. That's a spicy.
This is a spicy one.
Definitely, I would say the best episode of the season so far.
Yeah,
and probably one of the best episodes of the series, to be honest. I think
it could be. Yeah, it could be. There was a lot of like. It's funny because like this show, like watching it. Because I think I've gotten into the habit of like, because I watched the second season when it was airing, but there was some times where like I wouldn't watch an episode and then the next one would be out, and then I would, watch 2 back to back. So like this is the first one where I'm like actually going like week to week to week, watching it like, honestly how I like to watch shows, and it's funny that like with this season especially, every episode that comes up I'm like, man, they really need to do this, or they really need to answer this, and like every time it's like boom boom boom, they're like it's like every time I'm like I wonder when, now okay cool, now it's happening, like because like this season I was, or like watching this episode, and like you see Kimiko and Frenchie, they're held hostage by little Nina and those people, and it just kind of made me think like, all the the gang is split up. They're doing their thing. It's basically Huey and Butcher by themselves. I mean, with Soldier Boy, and now like Starlight and Mother's Milk, and I'm like, they're all split up. And then I was like, they're talking about doing stuff, but like not that much has really happened this season. It's not like I was immediately thinking back to last season with like Stormfront and how much like development was happening.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
I think maybe that took a couple episodes to build up, but then it was, stuff was happening every week. And then like so much shit happened this episode, and I'm like, okay, stuff happened this season. Right, here we go.
I would be curious to look at season 2, episode 6, and then this season, episode 6, and kind of contrast where, like, I don't know where it was, in the previous season by episode 6. Like, did we know that Stormfront was Liberty?
I think by
or
6. I think by then, yeah.
Because there's only 2 more episodes left of this season, so
yeah.
This one actually felt like it could have been like a season ender, like a lot of like cliffhanger,
like
type
almost,
stuff. Yeah. There was like a lot of resolution, but then also a lot of like setting up for the next thing.
I kind of thought like. I like when it finished, I was like, this seems like the penultimate episode. I was like, there's 2 episodes left. I'm like, I feel like I can only handle 1 more after this, and then I need like a breather, but like 2 more. Oof.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm bringing it back. Ozymandias of Breaking Bad was 2, because there was 2 more after that one.
That was the end of the entire show, though. So, like, that
that's
is
true.
a little more understandable, but I see the connection you're making, where I wouldn't say this is quite as much of a, breakdown as that, but like it's getting there. It's more
But
like
it's
a
like I
crawl
watched-
space.
Yeah, because like I watched Ozymandias and I was like, they could have ended it there, and I would have been like, whatever. But yeah, this certainly things popped off on this episode.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm really starting to like A-Train. I think he's quickly becoming like my favorite character.
So fucking rad. That was so awesome.
Yeah. Well,
you might have to say he was your favorite character.
Yeah,
We'll
that's a
We'll
little
see.
ambiguous there.
Oh yeah, no, I don't think so. I don't think that's like. It's kind of like they keep dropping this hint about Maeve, like we don't know, maybe she's dead, and it's like, oh, they're not just gonna be like, oh yeah, she's dead, and like
I don't think
no,
so with
like,
her. No,
yeah, no, it's pretty obvious.
They're not going to kill any of these characters off screen. That would be. I feel like that would be very cheap.
No, yeah,
shitty if they did
that's
that.
kind of what I mean. I think
But
with
this
like
is-
A-Train.
This is kind of a satisfying end for A-Train.
That's
a little
kind of-
bit.
That's how I
He
feel,
apologized to Huey.
Yeah.
Mhm.
He got his vengeance on Blue Hawk in one of the most graphic deaths I think I've ever seen. In the only thing that it makes me, did you guys ever hear about that movie, The House That Jack Built? I think it's like
Yeah.
a Lars von Trier movie.
Mhm.
I know he drags a body behind his car in a similar way
Yeah.
that he dragged Blue, but I think the body was dead. Blue Hawk was 100% alive for a little bit of that. You can
Yeah.
hear.
Happens
It's-
in Troy too.
I was
Black
I
Hawk
was
Down.
just gonna say it's a very sped up version of Achilles'
Yeah.
victory over Hector from the Iliad.
Yeah.
Very sped up.
I really like that moment, because like A-Train has had like the most like genuine and real like positive character development of like any of the characters, I think.
At least the superheroes. At least.
But I mean, from going from where he was, which was like a complete piece of shit,
Yeah,
to
yeah.
now like he's like, no, like I get it now. Like it took something, like a lot of people, it took something shitty happening to him to be able to like have empathy, but like
Yeah.
he still was like, you know what, I'm sorry. He takes off his glasses, he says he's sorry, and and like kind of the same thing with Huey, or I guess the polar opposite. They're kind of like switching places, where like Huey's become I guess it's almost like the more superpowers you have, the more shitty of a person you become, because like A-Train has kind of like lost his power, so he's becoming more human.
I like that. That's
Becoming more
interesting.
superhuman and
But,
less human.
There's another. You can keep going, but there's another thing in this that kind of tackles that same question too. But you can keep going
No,
if you have
go
more
ahead.
to say on that.
No, go ahead.
Well, Kimiko, her whole thing.
Oh
she
yeah.
because she says at the end ish that like I always blamed the V for making me a monster, but it turned out it was me the whole time. So
Yeah.
like, she kind of had that same feeling, or the same thought process of like, oh, the V has like something in it that makes you a piece of shit. But
It's just testosterone.
yeah,
It's like
although she wasn't
steroids.
a monster in the way that all the other superheroes are, where they're like depraved and like brain broken. She's just like, really,
Yeah.
really good at. Well, I mean, like she doesn't like.
She was more like animal instincts. Like
Yeah,
hers was
maybe.
It's
more
different.
like a dog trapped in a corner, rather than like I'm
That's
doing
how I
this
think,
for my own
I-
gratification.
I guess, but I can see like where she probably like she killed people that she probably didn't need to kill. She could have just like fucked them up. I'm sure that's kind of more what she's thinking, where it's like, I have this power, so I'm gonna use it. I'm gonna fucking just rip. I'm just like so angry about shit that happened to me
Yeah.
that I'm gonna like vent about it, I guess.
I just mean that like there's something different between her and like how Homelander treats people,
Right.
And how he thinks of people.
Well,
and,
yeah.
stuff
Right.
Like that. Yeah.
In kind of going along with this, I'm starting to like Soldier Boy a lot, actually. They
I liked
kind
him
of
a
like
lot too. Yeah.
they kind of they're like starting to peel away the layers a little bit, and and I really hope that he gets like kind of a redemption thing, and it's not just that it's like one piece of shit fighting another piece of shit, and whichever one comes
Yeah.
out is the winning piece of shit.
Uh huh.
I kind of hope that like it seems kind of cheesy, but I kind of hope the resolution between like, I don't think they're gonna do like the A-Train Huey thing where he's like, oh, I'm sorry, I killed your family, mother's milk. But I think that they could potentially do the thing where it's like, oh, I didn't do that. I didn't throw the car. I didn't kill your family. That wasn't me. What are you talking about? And this whole time, has been like holding this grudge and basically ruining his own life, and it's not even like true.
Soldier Boy's fault. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not even based in truth.
I did think about what she said on the last episode when Huey was like, he had his little alone moment with Soldier Boy, and he asked him about the when he killed those 19 people. Because you mentioned that Huey had that like kind of like awe smirk on his face when it happened. Right. I thought of that when he was like, so like what was it like? What happened? Right. Because it's like, I don't think Soldier Boy like has a very specific mission, and the thing at Herogasm where he obliterates everyone, he was there only to kill the twins, but it was the Russian music shit that set him off. Yeah. So it's like he's obviously like traumatized. So it's like he's not intentionally trying to murder. He's like super patriotic.
I'll say that he's like nothing, again, I feel like I'll say this every fucking episode, but nothing like the comics. He's basically a joke in the comics. He's like, the Homelander like forces him to have sex with him because he says that he'll like let him join the Seven if he does, and then he just doesn't, and like that's it. That's like all that Soldier Boy does in the comics. So, but in the show, he's basically like a mashup of Captain America and the Winter Soldier, who's like a brainwashed like expatriate who, like, you know, in the Marvel movies, like the Winter Soldier kills good guys like through his like
that's right
past. He kills people on the good side, and he kind of like suffers the fallout from that. And I don't think Soldier Boy is meant to be as like good-hearted as, you know, the Winter Soldier ends up being. But yeah, I have a little bit of hope. My like kind of pullback from that though is that they make him extremely conservative in this. And I get that it's like, oh, he's from like a bygone era, but also like that kind of means like bad person in this show.
Well, it kind of means a bad person in real life too. But
I mean, that's true. That's true.
I mean, it's kind of like it's like him. I guess at like the top of Vought is Homelander and Ashley. I would say,
yeah.
And Homelander's the conservative, and Ashley is the liberal. And she did the same thing. What the fuck did she do this episode? She did a similar thing. Like she had another like, that's my
Vought
favorite
unequivocally like denounces Nazism and fascism.
Oh, yeah.
And then just doing that same like mealy-mouthed accountability, like soulless liberalism type shit when actually like, faced with like having to do something.
Yeah.
Right. Just like very that's my favorite.
But it sort of did serve a purpose with A-Train though, because her takedown really of A-Train was actually, I'm like, well, she's not wrong.
Yeah.
Right.
There's a lot of that. There was what was I watching? Was it? I was just watching something just. Oh, sorry. This is a topic for Duds episode, but like Stranger Things. There's a whole monologue in that last episode, and I was like, he's not wrong.
Yeah, I know you're talking about.
I'm like, I feel like I've said these same things.
Yeah, actually, I forgot. Like you were talking about he's from like a bygone era. I did like the scene at the beginning when Huey is talking to Soldier Boy in the hotel room, and he's like talking Bluetooth and Wi-Fi.
Yeah, I think
those are made up words. And then he's like Cosby. Now that's a real father figure or whatever. And he's like, oh yeah, there's some things you have to catch up on. And he's like,
there's lots to unpack there.
Yeah, and he's like, yeah, that dude was crazy. He made the strongest drinks, and he was like, oh fuck. So he was like complicit in it.
I like how that ended. Yeah, Huey's reaction was good there.
So that was there's another good one with Soldier Boy where he's like talking about liberty, and they're like, "Oh yeah, like that was Stormfront."
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I also I'm really happy with how the show treated Herogasm, because I think I said like last week that I was worried that I think I'm still gonna be cautious as long as the show is on, but like whenever it gets to something like Herogasm, which again in the comics is like the inverse of this, where like the whole like the sex party is there. They highlight, there's a sequence where you just see all the sexual depravity and haha, all this like weird shit that people do, and not so haha too. But but like it serves as the backdrop to like a really good episode with like tons of character development and like beginnings or completions of certain character arcs and stuff, and like huge like major story developments, and like that serves as a backdrop. Whereas like the whole Herogasm arc, it's like, yeah, there's a couple things that happen, but it feels like an excuse to just have like depict a superhero orgy for 6 issues. That's how I feel about the comics version of Herogasm. And when I heard this episode was coming up, I was worried that it was going to do that with the show, because the show also likes to highlight the graphic violence and sexual acts and stuff. And like, yeah, it was there, but and compare relative to most TV, it was a lot, but compared to the Boys comic, it was very restrained, and I'm glad that they did do that, because it would have dampened an otherwise, a really good episode with tons of shit that happened again.
Right. I was going to point that out too, because like they played the little like text scrawl thing at the beginning of like warning.
Yeah.
This is not appropriate for any
your mama's
audience.
TV show.
Yeah, and I was like, I IRL rolled my eyes, like not like figuratively, literally rolled my eyes, and I was like, this makes me like already I don't like this episode. Like that's like the exact shit that I hate about like the comics and this show is like when they try to like overdo it for like the purpose of overdoing it.
Yeah.
And like you said, they basically showed you what it was, like, oh, this is an orgy thing, and you could kind of see stuff going on in the background, but they didn't really milk it, for lack of a better term.
Mother's milk got milked.
Yeah, he got milked. And then they had the stretchy Russian penis dude.
Yeah.
Love sausage.
Yeah, I fucking hate that guy. It's like just the most. It's just the most like 7th grade joke.
That was the one part that
terrible.
was like, okay.
Yeah, right.
I felt like it was a good callback to the comics at the very least.
Yeah, because he's
the one in the
right,
like the Russia arc when they're actually in Russia, because it's like pretty decent chunk of the comic. He's there, and like you could always see like the outline of his huge dick like through his pants.
Right. You can see the outline, but it's not like it's like Doc Ock's tentacle like sticking up behind it.
Yeah,
like,
that's what I didn't get. Like,
come on,
it's a penis. It's still a penis.
Right.
I did laugh at the end when he was like taking his like burnt penis and like putting it over his shoulder and like running away.
That was kind of funny.
Actually, speaking of Spider-Man, well, last week they said
shooting ropes, you mean, or shooting webs?
No, yeah. With great power.
Maybe like
he's
a
gonna turn into
cunt.
a right cunt or something like that.
Yeah.
And then this episode, Homelander did like the Green Goblin like fighting with himself in the mirror.
I pointed that out to Chloe. I was like,
I think of
alter ego. And then he also does. They also do the It's in Spider-Man 1, where he's like, choose, like, here's a cart full of kids on a field trip, and then here's Mary Jane, and you have to pick which one's gonna like die.
Interesting.
They did that too. So I'm thinking somebody's gonna turn Spider-Man's gonna show up. I guess is my.
I was gonna say it was gonna go like a No Way Home route, and it's gonna end with like 3 versions of Carl Urban. So you'll get Butcher, you'll get Judge Dredd, and then you'll get Éomer from Lord of the Rings.
Yeah. That'd actually be sick.
That would be pretty sick.
Speaking of Homelander, It is funny because like I feel like last week Travis said something about just like not interested in Homelander anymore. He's not an interesting character anymore, something along those lines. And I feel like they kind of answered that. I feel like they fleshed him out a little bit more.
I mean, just getting to see him get the shit beat out of him.
Yeah.
And to
was
see
very
him, like,
satisfying.
to see him scared for once. Yeah.
It's like, oh, this is like a side, because like there's been flashes of it. There's like his kind of jowl moves when you can tell that he's like thinking about something, and he's like talking about how it's like, oh, you're still human down, deep down, and you need their adoration and their love. And seeing fear on his face is like a very, very new thing for this show, and it felt like when they all got together to like beat the shit out of Stormfront. Like it started out with.
I meant to say that. This
episode
is. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say it started out with like him and Soldier Boy going at it, and then like the reveal. I just love how each character like got their reveal of like, oh, we have superpowers too, and Homelander's just like, what the fuck? He's like, I don't know what.
And then Huey shows up too.
And he's butt ass naked.
And he's like, what? And Huey's just like super like intense, like all charged up and
Yeah, I meant to at the start of the episode to call this one "Guys Almost Get It Done."
Oh
this episode.
Boys almost get it done.
The boys almost get it done.
Yeah. I wish something would have happened because like they had him like pinned, and
it would have been cool if they like
just killed him right then.
Well, yeah, maybe.
They probably could because that Nadia, what's
Nadia?
her name? Nadia. She's obviously like a huge piece of shit too.
Nadia.
Like her whole the
why am I drawing a blank?
Politician
head popper.
Oh, Newman. Victoria Newman.
Okay.
Nadia.
Yeah. Maybe her real name's
You're getting her mixed with Nina, maybe? Little Nina?
No, her name's Nadia. That's I think her front-facing name is Victoria Newman, but I think her real name is Nadia. Like when Stan Edgar adopted her.
You're right. Yeah, you're right.
But yeah, like she's obviously a piece of shit, and that whole thing where she tries to like bargain with Starlight, and Starlight's like, "Nah, fuck this. I'm so done with this shit." And it's like you like there was something else there. To her whole thing. It wasn't just like, oh yeah, like she makes it sound like she has no ulterior motives, but she's clearly like gunning to be like president or whatever. She's going for something bigger, obviously, because why else would you like go through all that shit, like popping all those dudes' heads and all that extra shit if you're not like you don't have higher aspirations, I guess.
Yeah. I thought that was a pretty good setup and payoff as well. When Newman was like, let me handle your socials. You have 193 million followers on Instagram, and then the very end of the episode, she goes on Instagram Live.
I didn't even think of that.
Right. She leverages her followers and then does her spiel at the end, calling out Vought and Homelander. And we haven't seen Maeve. She's like, oh, we don't know what happened to Maeve. Homelander probably did something to her. So
yeah, he probably sent her to like a Scared Straight camp. That's a very Homelander thing to do, but like a superhero version of it.
Yeah.
I meant to read the comments on the Starlight like video thing at the end. I just was like,
I glanced
at
it.
I was watching it. I just have a feeling that she's gonna be very like, it's like very ostracized for it. It's not gonna be met with like, oh yeah, she's right. They're gonna be like, she's crazy and
definitely
Homelander's the man.
Definitely.
I think
it's
gonna
be
one. I caught one that was like Vought lied, people died. That was like one of the. It was like hashtag. Yeah.
Oh.
My thinking is it's either gonna be that or it's gonna be a 15 million merits situation, like from Black Mirror, where with Daniel Kaluuya like being like, oh, exposing it, and then they're like, oh yeah, we meant to do this. Isn't this cool, guys? I don't know.
Well, I feel like that's happened with Vought every time up until this point, where like,
I mean, that's true.
a soup will go off script and it ends up benefiting them.
Like
But
Homelander.
yeah, which I feel like he's like leaning into a little bit too much, where just like every TV show he's going on, he's doing that because he knows it plays. Like at the very beginning when he's on that news show, and he's like, "How dare you ask me this leading question? And we're done here."
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. Another thing, I mean, they're definitely starting to show. This is kind of a little bit of a right turn, but they're going more like deeper into their like addiction of the sauce.
Mm-hmm.
I guess.
The scene of them just like we're just shooting up.
Yeah, and then they have that like almost like semi-orgasmic like like after they inject it.
Butcher like glows his eyes and he's like,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I'm shit.
like after the interaction with Homelander, and he's like, "Oh, we promised to like fight to the death or whatever." Well, that's off now, and then he just like laser beamed him or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Like now, and then he saw that Butcher had powers. Like now, it almost seems like Butcher has to be like on the sauce at all times because Homelander could just like pop up and kill him if he's not juicing.
Yeah. Which I think last week Isaiah even said that like in the comics they're basically just like on it all the time.
Yeah. It's like before the comic even starts. But also in the comics, again, it's not like a drug that you get addicted to or anything. It's literally, it gives you powers. There's no side effects. There's no nothing. It's
right.
There's no high. It's just you get powers, and that's why they take it constantly because of that reason. Because they're like, yeah, if we don't, we can just they can just kill us, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There were a few good setups and payoffs. I think I really liked when Soldier Boy kind of undressed Homelander by telling him that he was like, "Oh yeah, you're wearing a cape" or something like that.
Yeah, that was good.
And then it came back into play when he like rips him down with the cape and like almost like the Hulk and Loki. It kind of reminded me of that.
Too. Yeah,
where he's just
the whole scene was that level of satisfying of like Loki getting smashed by Hulk. It's very where you're just like, it's not just like every other like Marvel movie, I guess, where there's action sequences like every 15 minutes. It seems like it's like this one. There's not very much action in this show.
Yeah,
and then except for like here and there, somebody gets like blowed up through their pee hole or
right.
I guess
not like fight
Kimiko,
scenes though. Well,
right.
Yeah, Kimiko. Yeah,
Kimiko, she kind of like just like slices and stuff, but it's or snaps necks or whatever. It's not that, but like an actual like fight scene. Like, it's kind of rare, especially like between like superheroes. So it's that was another reason why it was like super satisfying, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, him just like being able to like, he was like pinned by all three of them, and him just being able to be like, and then just like, I don't know, he just like shook a little bit, and then they were off of him, and that's what it felt like.
I could see like
should have happened, but
like my thinking is like he is supposedly like the strongest. Soldier Boy is arguably there, but also it seemed like he was beating him, which I wish that it was a little more even match. I mean, it was pretty even, but like it seemed like he was going to kill Soldier Boy if they didn't intervene. I'm like, well, man, he's got to be a threat though. But anyways, so like there's that like Homelander is supposed to be the strongest. Also, Huey and Butcher are like new to it. They might not be like as like quite on the same level as like the actual superheroes.
Yeah,
and also Homelander probably, superheroes probably get adrenaline rushes too, and that makes you, super.
Well, like during the fight too, like Homelander and Butcher are like going back and forth, like like trading punches.
Yeah.
And Homelander's like, it's affecting him, but like it cuts to like a really quick shot of Butcher, and his mouth is like full of blood.
Mm-hmm.
So like they definitely, I was thinking about that too. I was like, they take this like shit, and like for Homelander and all the other superheroes, they had to be like regularly injected with this stuff as babies to like make it be permanent, and it like would have to change their DNA or whatever, something, and then it's really hard to go into like, you know, kind of sci-fi stuff and like try to like nitpick stuff like this, but like they inject this stuff in them, and then it makes their skin that they had previously like impenetrable and like invulnerable. It's a little confusing, and then like after like 24 hours they can be cut again. I mean it's just like a little weird. So I think you're probably right where it's like a lower level of superhero powers.
Yeah,
that's my theory.
Right, and it makes me wonder too, like how because like Huey doesn't have like laser eyes; he has like speed.
Right.
So it's like how you know, maybe it's like the compound V messes with your DNA. It's like completely up, just random, like what superpower you actually get. Like I guess like the mechanics of that aren't super explained.
Yeah, like, I have a theory about that kind of. I don't know if you've seen like the original TMNT, like the movies. The theory in that is that like there was just turtles and a rat, and they got into the ooze, and then they became humanoid turtles and humanoid rats. In like the OG original like turtles mythos.
I think I know what you're gonna say.
Turtles,
like
they
connection.
were turtles. And the reason that they became like humanoid turtles is because like the last thing that they like interacted with were people. Splinter is actually a human that turns into a rat because he had pet rats. That's how like OG. So my theory is kind of like because Butcher is like haunted by Homelander, and he has very similar powers to Homelander.
Okay.
Huey and A-Train have similar powers.
Yep.
Ish. Yeah.
So
because that's what kills Robin and sets everything off is the super speed.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like some kind of like,
I like that
trauma thing coming out.
Okay. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So maybe if A-Train dies, then Huey will have like a different power.
Something else. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
Once it's
I don't
been
know if
resolved.
it that far, but
I just kind of took it as like it's like an X-Men, like how. I mean, they're born with it, but like
maybe it's Maybelline.
Yeah, I thought. But like the mutants in that, it's basically just it's an RNG what your power is gonna be, and that's kind of how I took this. Is like it's a thing, it's an unstable thing they're juicing with, and it affects everybody differently because everybody's DNA is different, and you know, reacts differently to things.
That's 98% probably what it is, because Huey's like kind of more of like teleporting anyways is what he
I see the
describes
connection though.
He's out of his clothes. Yeah, there is like a connection, but that's a little bit of like, the curtains were yellow type thing.
Yeah.
Sure.
Hyper analyzing.
Yeah. But I mean, it's still
thing I
cool
was
to
gonna
theorize about stuff.
Yeah.
You mentioned pee holes and exploding.
I knew Nick wanted. I could like he like for the last like 10 minutes. Nick has been like scratching at the door to say.
I'm
this.
scratching at the conclusion of Termite's story was pretty. I laughed pretty hard because
character arcs pay off, and
Homelander just he's like oh well, help me out, man, what's going on? And Homelander just steps on it.
Yeah. And he goes from pee holes to V holes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I think that's probably it. That's all I got.
The only other loose end is Maeve and Black Noir. We have 2 episodes left.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, Black Noir just like traumatizes some woman and cuts out his chip. I thought he was like killing himself. I was like, what is?
I thought that was great. He just dips as soon as he hears Soldier Boy's on the way. He's just like, nope.
Yeah.
And he hands the chip to the lady. She's like, thank you, and he just leaves.
Yeah. So there's that, and then go ahead.
No. I was just gonna say I'm curious what's gonna happen in the next 2 episodes with Black Noir and Maeve and A-Train as well. You know what?
Yeah.
And then the other thing is like I'm hoping now that Frenchie and I mean they didn't kill little Nina or whatever, but I'm hoping now maybe that'll get resolved next episode. But I want the boys back together, for like the last
it's gotta
couple
happen.
episodes. Yeah, everybody.
I don't think it's gonna happen this season.
Really?
No, they all seem to be like segmented and they have their own little separate teams now.
Yeah,
maybe there'll be like a climactic battle with Homelander where they'll all like unite, but then I think they'll probably go their separate ways again at the end of it.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah, we'll see.
I think that's gonna be like one of the cliffhangers of this season.
Yeah.
Yeah, could be.
But-
Or it could be time for somebody to actually die. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, could be
Yeah.
coming to that time in the show's run. Probably not Homelander. He's like the Joffrey of this show, where he's just like such a good villain for like people to hate. But then they did kill off Joffrey like halfway through that show, so
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see.
yeah. We'll see. Okay. All right. Next week, I don't know the episode title. It's surprisingly difficult to find information on the future episodes.
I got it for you.
Okay, what is it?
Here comes a candle to light you to bed.
All right. That's
Cool.
That's the next
informative.
episode. I know, yeah, really gives away what's gonna happen.
Okay. See you next time.
Yeah, nice.
Goodbye.